What can a street artist teach a finance team more than it actually think?
People stay because of expectation, not because of delivery. Once they have the delivery, they leave.
30 seconds and with silence, then you actually get what people came there for. My guest today, Sylvain Oulala, is a street artist making his living grabbing the attention of people from the street, which is a skill that is super important in today's busy and distracted world.
And what I notice is that people will stay way longer if I do nothing, which is another thing that is true in every field.
50% of the online content already generated by AI.
I do not have Instagram, I do not have TikTok, I do not have YouTube, I do not have Facebook. I've deleted them all.
But what are those recent researchers showing is actually that people start working even more.
Because in the world of AI, where everyone goes into the virtual and stuff, it becomes so easy to get out of the mass just by having good social skills. Social skills is like everything else.
This is Inside Finance with Gerlyn Tiigemae. Sylvain, thank you so much for bringing. Oh my God, that's a great start.
Take 2! Take 75!
Let's try to keep it under 5. Sylvain, thank you so much for coming to Inside Finance. Let's start off with you telling a little bit of your background. So where are you from? You're not a local Estonian guy, but you have been living here. So tell me a bit about your background.
So my name is Sylvain and I'm from France. I actually come from an engineer background. In France, I was studying as an engineer, and basically at the moment I got my diploma, to say it very clear, I was very not fulfilled by the path ahead of me, and that's when I take kind of a radical turn and I look from opportunity abroad, and I found like a European project for young to go abroad, being volunteer in an organization. I look at the border of European Union and I saw Estonia. What do I know about this country? About nothing. And that's how I moved in Estonia. For the first year I was volunteer in a small circus school based in Kalamaja, actually, near where we are. And after this project I was very happy in Estonia, so I could go back to France and see what happened in engineering, and I was not excited about this. Or just stay in Estonia and start to develop myself. So that's when I start to work as a professional street performer, which is already 12 years ago.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, like time has been flying. It's crazy. You know, the kids that were in the circus school when I arrived, they are not like adult. And yeah, over the year I've been like performing in Estonia, but also all around the world with my show now.
Okay, that's really cool. And one of your like key performance or your key tools, can I say that, is your unicycle. So you ride it, and I think one of the most famous part is that you riding your unicycle from France to Estonia, which is, I have to say, over 3,000 kilometers. So that is way too much for, I think, most of the people. So why did you do that?
So it's been always kind of something in the back of my mind, but during COVID it became very clear. I feel for a lot of people who have a bit of a nomadic lifestyle, I think COVID has been a moment when you had to choose where is your one home. And for me it was very clear, I wanted to be in Estonia, not in France. And I always say that however how long I live in Estonia, I am not a korralik eestlane. I am way too much French. I love cheese. I'm too extrovert. So I say that my roots are in France, but my heart live in Estonia. And I love this a little bit adventure to, I say, connect my roots land to my heart's land in Estonia with my own propelled energy. And it might not be very logical for many people, but to me, unicycling was the obvious way to do it. It sounds more fun, and it was a great adventure. I spent like 4 months on the road, and it has been a very successful project. I'm very grateful how it has been connecting with many people. I've been posting daily vlogs during it, so if people are curious after, they can look at this adventure on YouTube as well. And I've also been inviting on media, and actually a decision which was really from my heart ended up being actually quite a good professional and career decision, because it's been opening many unexpected opportunities from this adventure.
Yeah. So we met at Pärnu in finance conference. When I saw your name and like the sign there, street artist in the headline, you were a keynote speaker. So you opened up the conference. I was like, okay, this can be either really good or really bad, but I was super impressed. How did you end up speaking at the finance conference?
The things that people don't necessarily realize is like I am way more than just a street performer or a circus performer. I'm also an expat that has been integrating in Estonia, and a lot of Estonians will know it's not the easiest country to integrate, and ma olen õppinud ka vabalt eesti keeles. It's not the easiest place to integrate. I'm also not only a street performer, I'm an international street performer and entrepreneur. And everyone in finance knows that if you want to have a successful career internationally, especially if you're in a creative field, it's not, you have to be a very good freelancer, a very good entrepreneur, and very good with your finance, all these aspects. So that's also all these aspects that made me come to Pärnu Finance Conference. Plus, the lifestyle I have can be very chaotic. I'm traveling like 7 months of the year. I mean, we're talking of me unicycling from France to Estonia, but I've also been sailing on a Viking ship for 3 months, touring in India 3 times, in college, university. I've been touring in New Zealand with a big top circus for 6 months. And so my life has very different adventures that look extremely different. And this has also taught me to develop tools to stay efficient in your work, stay stable with your mental health, and that's all those topics that I was also coming to talk in Pärnu Finance Conference.
Yeah, I think these are the things that kind of resonated to the listeners, because if you're in a corporate job, you might think that, oh, what would I know about riding a unicycle? You don't have to know about it. You have the same feelings in your work as we do in ours. So I really want to discuss this further. So maybe let's have a sit and then talk about it more.
Yes.
All right.
Let's go.
So Silva, let's start with what I think is the most important skill in your life, in your work, is getting people's attention. And I think it's also like important in other roles. For example, for me, in finance, for leaders, we all want to grab the attention of our employees, but we have like maybe a little bit like more time. But when I look at, or when I think about your work, you need to grab the attention like immediately. You see a person, you want them coming to your show. So how do you look at that attention span of people, or how do you actually get the people stop and join your show?
So yeah, grabbing attention in the street is definitely very challenging skills that teach a lot, that personally I've been developing over 12 years now. Mm-hmm. At the beginning, I remember going the street very often, and the reality is most of the shows that I was trying to do end up being not a show because couldn't get an audience. I spent, to figure it out first, a lot of trial and error, a lot of time just observing the crowd. It's very interesting. It's something I would recommend actually for people to try to sometime just sit and look at how people move, and you can see, I don't know, how are they dressed? Are they tourists? Are they local? Are they looking, coming out of work or going to a business meeting? Maybe they have the badge from a conference. You can see that they're going somewhere. And so a lot of detail like this, how fast they walk, are they with friends? And so a lot of those cues can already tell you a lot of who will be the people you're going to be able to stop for a show.
So you have like a perfect person that you know who you have to kind of like tick all of the marks, that is like walking slowly and looking around, wondering, or is it like you know that although he's walking a little bit faster, then you can still somehow grab their attention?
Yeah, I mean, ideally the goal is to grab the attention of as much people as I can. There is definitely some people that you're never going to grab attention, like the people who are delivering Uber Eats. You're not going to stop them to watch your show, for example. Yeah, so it's really like about finding the tweak. About this, it's also like, that's what I was talking in Pärnu Finance Conference. One of the things that I've noticed very early in performing is how some stuff are connected. Like if I was trying to give myself the challenge that today I'm going to try people to clap but not donate. And it was very surprisingly very hard, because as soon as people clap, they're always going to give a donation. So it's interesting that you understand that if you get people to clap, you already get them to donate. So then you have to find all the connection and all the things that I've realized. By one day I was like trying to, as soon as people stop to watch me, I will not do any trick, which is extremely cringe. That's very funny, because when people are stopping, you're just like,
what is happening?
and you just stop like this for how long until they leave. And what I noticed is that people will stay way longer if I do nothing, which is another thing that is true in every field. People stay because of expectation, not because of delivery. Once they have the delivery, they leave.
Yeah. I think this is really interesting, because when I again try to think about how we do it in finance or in other fields, like when I do when I have a meeting, for example, and people come, they join with some of the expectations, and usually we are afraid of the silence. So when we start the meeting, everyone wants to start speaking, or you want to already run the meeting. But usually when you spend like 1 minute, you don't even have to wait for 1 minute, 30 seconds, and with silence, then you actually get what people came there for. They start asking questions. They start to share what they want. So why did they join the meeting? Instead of you just going, oh, this, we do all of those. And I think it's a super important skill for a manager also to start listening to the employees. And this is kind of the similar thing that you do. You listen to the people. In your call, they're like strangers, which makes it even more difficult. So how do you listen? Like I want to actually know, like, what are the clues or the cues that you look out of that person?
So, yeah, I'm a lot more attentive to the audience than people might think of. If I look at my crowd, I'm like, who is laughing?
Yeah.
Especially in a context of Estonia, where I do a show sometime, which is going to be in crowds going to be speaking English, Russian, Estonian, maybe German. So try a joke in Estonian. So see who is laughing, who is not. You understand who speak Estonian and have a good sense of humor. Maybe they're just Estonian and not laughing, but you pick all those cues. So who is laughing, who is looking. It's always interesting, like in a conference, try to look in the stage. Look who is following you on the side. The person who is looking at his phone or like looking at the corner is not the person who is listening to you with a lot of involvement. And especially in the streets, I take volunteer. I also did it in Pärnu, where I have volunteer who helped me.
Yeah.
So it's very crucial to find the right person for this. I call this finding your ally. And that's it. Finding your ally is like, who's going to be following you? Well, look, who is going to maintain look with you?
Yeah, the eye contact.
The eye contact, I always do this in my show. The reality is like 5 minutes into my show, I know who's going to be my volunteer at 20 minutes.
Okay.
I already notice who's the person who is laughing. I already have stereotype kind of people. I know that it's good to take a dad who's going to be here with his kids and the family, where the mom is here, so the mom can still take care of the kids while the dad is on stage, and the kid's going to be excited to see the dad on stage. It's good to, if you see a group of friends, if you take one friend in a group, you know that all the group's going to push the friend because they don't want to be the one going on stage, and they're excited to see their friend, and they're also going to cheer and support the friend. So, which is important as well, is to understand the motivation. Like that's what I was explaining as well in Pärnu. It's like when you give an instruction, you want to have a cue, an action, and a reward. And me as a person, I want people to do a certain action. I want people to follow, to stop. I want people to move forward. I want people to listen. I want people to clap. I want people to, at the end, give me money.
Yeah.
And the reality, I have to think of every one of those actions that I want from them. What is the clear cues that I ask from them? And what is the reward I will give them from following my direction?
I think it's very similar to, well, I work with a lot of companies who try to implement AI. So the first steps are really difficult. There are like different ways to approach it, but a lot of the times they just expect people to know the cues. They expect people to actually know what they need to do. But as a manager who wants to implement AI or whatever tool you want to implement, you need to find those persons we call like those early adopters or the champions. They are super into it, and if you find those, it makes so much easier to move forward with the rest of the team, because usually the one person starts sharing what they have done, what they have built. In your case, they're like, yeah, it's great, but in our case, they can say, oh, what I have built, look at this, and then the rest of the team's like, oh, but I want to build something similar, and then it will start rolling like that.
Exactly. This is what I call the phenomenon of the first follower.
Yeah.
Like I noticed it very clearly as after every show, I have a notebook where I write down like how did the show went, what happened, how much I made in a hat. And then I've noticed that when one of my friend Daria is coming to watch the show, I was making an average of 50% higher in my hat, which is massive.
Wow.
And so from this, I was starting to question, like, why is that? Like, you know, why if my friends come to work with me, today I'm making more money? That's a very interesting, strange phenomenon. And the reason was just because, yes, she was my first follower. She was the first one that would come closer, the first one who clap, the first one who cheer, and she will really get all the audience in her energy. And I think exactly in the context of firma, we want to get like people to adopt a new strategy. It's important to have a first follower who's gonna be the example, who's gonna show, oh, if you follow my directive, you're gonna be more happy. What's the reward? That's it. Everyone sees that Daria is happy, she's clapping. She's like, I wanna be happy too, so I'm gonna clap too.
Exactly.
And so it's very important. And I think the first follower is a very underlooked way of leadership, actually.
Yeah, yeah. But since you have done it for 12 years now, I'm wondering, how has it changed? Like, are people more adaptive, or do they want to join more now, or was it easier before? I think it like when it compared to, for example, like general social media, then it's a lot harder today to stand out because there's a lot of content. In business also, like there's a lot of competition, new companies coming out on a daily basis. How do you see this in your work?
In my work, well, the thing is, there is different scales. There is the Estonian scale. Definitely 12 years ago, I was the first street performer pretty much in Estonia. I mean, there is like some musician, but circus street performer, a lot of Estonians, they've never seen that before. The thing which is hard to judge is also like there is what is the context evolution, what is my own evolution. Obviously in 10 years I've progressed a lot. In fact, I'm rarely going in street anymore because I got so much bookings that I struggle to find the time to just go in the street. I still love it. I think it's one of my core values is to provide art for everyone, regardless what is their context and financial and cultural background. This is why I love street, that it's very something that is human. And in terms of how does the audience change, well, pretty obvious things. You're going to see more and more people like filming the show. But I would not say that I see like a radical change.
Yeah, it's interesting because now that we a lot talk about AI, so AI is a big part of what I do and my work. The companies who produce those AI tools, they all sell it as for efficiency. So it's meant for you being more efficient. It will save you time. You will have more time to walk on the streets, go to Sylvain's shows, etc. But what are those recent researchers showing is actually that people start working even more, because it will, at one side, it will give you more time, but the other side, you will see that, oh, but I can then do this task and do the third task and do the fourth task, and then I can build a new product, and then I can launch something new. And then we see that the people are already working even harder now. And to me, it seems that we are getting more into the computers, especially like when I think about finance teams. Yes, there are sometimes during the month when there's more time, but usually like in the end of the month, there's a lot of things to do. People work like 8 hours, 10 hours, and then they spend all of that time in the computer and they don't speak to each other anymore. So I'm wondering if this is something you have some kind of recommendations, because you work with a lot of teams, a lot of different people. It's important for you to like connect the people who are coming to a show. Not even if we talk about the streets, but for those paid roles also, you have to get the people actually listen to you and be present and talk to each other. So do you see that it's like maybe difficult to do that, and is it like something that we can all improve somehow?
Well, if we talk on change on this field, I will see that I see a change in terms of the general average social and coordination skill of people is getting lower clearly over the year. I can see it if we talk more of the coordination. I can see it while teaching circus. Like jumping rope, 10 years ago, you just give a kid a jumping rope and he's gonna be jumping easy. Nowadays, it sometimes takes several weeks to get their coordination. And in terms of social skill, well, I think it's something that we can quite simply justify by AI. And as you say, people spend time in front of their computer, and as we were a bit talking before off camera, that you get all your email written by ChatGPT and other AI, and you lose the skill to express yourself. And so I can see that there is people that maybe online they're going to look very dynamic, and then you meet them and they're like so clanky speaking. But I think it's something that we can also look from both ways. I think it's, in a way, it's a pity, and in a way, it's such an opportunity. Because in the world of AI, where everyone goes into the virtual and stuff, it becomes so easy to get out of the mass just by having good social skill.
Yeah, but how do we get that? If we work in the computers, if I am a finance person, I write the emails with AI, I do the analysis, I focus only on the computer. How do I improve my social skills?
Like, a revelation that I had at some point is that social skills is like everything else. It's a practice.
Yeah.
And that's it. How do you develop your social skill? Practice. Go to the board game night of your local district, even if you're alone, and that feels cringe. You do not learn anything, you do not evolve anything without a certain time of discomfort. That's the concept of getting out of your comfort zone. You need to have discomfort. And so embrace discomfort. That's a thing that I feel quite lucky, as I say juggling is a very good metaphor of this. It's like you're gonna try, you throw everything fall on the ground, you pick it up, you try again. And this is also why I do offer team building juggling workshop. I think it's such an amazing thing to have people experiencing like how does, you have to fail to learn something new. As an adult, I've very much forget this capacity. And so go to some event, dare to talk to a stranger that feel awkward. Worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario? There is not much consequence.
Yeah, or ride the unicycle from France to Estonia.
Well, that may be extreme.
Level is different for everyone, but do you recommend like trying to push the limit a little bit like further out of the comfort zone? Like, okay, I don't know. Instead of like going to running, maybe I will take my goal to run 10 kilometers or 20 kilometers. Does it make a difference, or it's more like creating yourself a habit? So you get up on bed every day and you decide that I will do 3 times a week I will go running, instead of like making a goal of running a marathon, for example, in your case. So
I think you all have to see how do you function and what is the way that trigger you. As I say, even for yourself, the cue, action, reward. What is your reward? What is the reward that motivates you enough to do the action? What is a clear cue to make sure that you make the action happen for yourself? I think you all have to figure out what works for yourself, but I do believe that it's crucial to find some field of your life when you move out of your comfort zone. And me, I can see personally that through my life, it has been evolving depending on the time. Some period I was more like trying to push myself to develop social media, which was out of my comfort zone. Some period I was more challenging myself with juggling. Sometime I was more challenging myself with crowd interaction. Sometime I was challenging myself with marketing and managing my own finance. But I think it's very important. I will say that to me, it's the whole point of life, to get out of your comfort zone and evolve and grow.
Mm-hmm. You work with a lot of different teams. So you spoke at a finance conference to CFOs. You mentioned you will be speaking to people from the medical sector or medicine. Is there a difference how you approach different teams or different people, or the core skills are basically the same?
The core skills are definitely the same. Like, it's the same either you talk to a CEO, to a cashier, to an Indian, to a European, to a Kiwi guy. The skills are the same. It's about human connection. It's about listening, reading the cue. Obviously, with the context, there are going to be some inner cultural backgrounds that's going to be different. Like, with in India, certain jokes are going to work very well, which are not going to work in Europe. For finance people, well, they all come from their own background. So, you know, in Panu, I was making jokes that finance people eat Excel for breakfast.
Yeah.
Very fun for finance people, not fun at all for hospital people. So the core skill is the same, is like understand what is their people world, read all the cues that people give you if they're listening, if they're interested, if they're engaging in what you say, and understand what is their backgrounds to connect better with them.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit of your work or your business, because we can say that you are running a business on your own. You're an entrepreneur, you are present in social media, you wear also like all sorts of different hats. So how do you find those skills for your own work? So for example, I work with the finance team, so we are super into Excel, as you mentioned. We have learned about it, but how did you make that turning point into entrepreneurship? Was it like difficult to learn those new areas? Can you say that maybe, I don't know, finance was the easiest part, finance was the most difficult part? What kind of role did learning those finance skills make in your career?
I think as a performer, and I do see a lot of people pursuing like a creative career of many field. The difference between the successful one and the struggling artist, in my observation, is often are they actually an entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to be like, yes, I do a show. It's an infime party of my work. I am not successful. I have not been touring around the world because my show is good. My show is good, but it's because I'm a good freelancer and I'm a good entrepreneur and I understand and I work on all those fields that are maybe not funny. Yeah. Like, I used to hate marketing and like writing like text and descriptions. That's something that I hate. Thanks God we got ChatGPT right now that is saving me and writing it better than me and faster than me. But I will say that one of the cues that has been helping me as well is admit I'm bad at some stuff and either learn it, either accept that I don't want to learn it and delegate. One of the greatest financial decisions I've been doing was to hire an assistant, because I know I do not have there is things that I'm extremely good at. I can do a good show, I can read the crowd, I'm happy to go in the street, put a show. But I hate spending a day on my computer answering like email and prospecting for festival. And each time I procrastinate it so much that I do it at the last minute. Well, I'm not good at it. Hire someone to do it. Instead of spending my day on my computer, I spend my day in the street. I pay someone else, I make more money than I pay her, and she earned me more money than I pay her. It's a win deal on every aspect. And I think this is for solo entrepreneur, this is a thing that, especially when you're not having the finance, it's so hard to do this decision to be like, hey, right now I'm very tight financially. You have this mindset that you don't want to spend more, but the actual things that help to get out of this struggling position is to spend more on the things that matter. Yeah. And to figure out what matters. Sadly, you also have to do some mistake. I've been investing in some stuff that has been absolutely disastrous choice. Like, I remember paying for like a showcase festival somewhere in whatever, Belgium? I don't even remember. Anyway, it's like I end up paying like several thousand euros to go there, the plane tickets, offer my show and promote my show. What did I get out of it? Nothing. Not even a single booking. That was a disastrous choice.
But you got an experience out of it.
But I got an experience, and that's the thing about stepping out of your comfort zone. It's not always going to be successful. And that's also a thing that I've been learning to accept with time. You could not imagine how many props, things, ID, project. I've been investing like a lot of time, energy, and money into it. Never end up being in a show. It is part of the process, and this is something that is not only true for being a performer in any field. Try new stuff, accept that everything are not going to succeed, and it's because you've been failing at several stuff, it's because you made those stupid investments that did not pay, that one day one of them is going to work. At the end, it's not luck, it's just iteration of trial and error.
Yeah, because I see that also working in bigger companies and bigger enterprises, is that they really like expect things to happen on their own, and at the same time they don't want to take risks. So they say, okay, let's try Copilots, let's try ChatGPT. We implement it for everyone, but we don't teach the people. We just expect them to save their time on their own busy schedule to learn AI and to test it, figure out how to use it. But people don't get the time. They have to at first look at their processes, look at what they're doing, figuring out what is important, what is not, because a lot of roles, they have done similar things years, maybe 10 plus years, they've done the same, very manual work, and they don't have that inspiration unless someone else shows them. And this is all about, again, testing, showing it, and I think this is a big role for the managers to allow their people to take the time. And it's not easy to make, because you think about the risks and you think about what could happen instead of thinking what positive would come out of it.
Yes, it is a thing which is extremely frustrating, and I think we find in any field, once you have your pattern and your habits and your work process work here, and if you want to get here, you would love to do that. But the reality is like you have to do this. You have to get down to be able to go up. And it is extremely frustrating. Like, it's some things that I see in my show. Sometimes you have a new ID, and I know that my show work, and I know that this new ID could work better than what I do now, but I have to kill so many of my show in order to get it work. And it's so frustrating also because it's a loss of income, it's a lot of energy as well, because sometimes I'm gonna have the crowd people follow, and I'm gonna try this new ID, and it just didn't land, and then I spend the rest of the show trying to catch up on the mistake I did. But it's because you do those mistakes that you can keep improving to get better. And it's also something that I feel doing this keep the thing exciting. It keep the show fun and evolving.
Yeah, and usually at this point, when I share similar things inside of a big corporation, then someone from IT or information security comes, but we don't want those mistakes. They can't happen. But then I share, but please then bring or give the employees some safe environment to test, to figure out. Don't do all of this in the live environment. Don't test with customer data, but test with some other information and other data. There are solutions but a lot of people just so afraid of what negative could happen that they don't even think about what the solutions could be. Let's talk about AI. You already kind of mentioned briefly that you use ChatGPT a bit. Can you share what couple of use cases, how you use it?
At the moment, I use it mainly to write text. Most of my emails are written by ChatGPT. I could write them myself, but I'm very bad at it. It takes me so much time. I overthinking it. And especially if you talk about writing in Estonian, it's just, I speak very good Estonian, but writing Estonian takes me so much time, and it's not important. So at the moment, I love using pretty much the voice to text, because I say the thing, but then ChatGPT put it in a more formal email. All my show description and stuff are written by ChatGPT. So that's the main use I have of it at the moment.
I think voice to text is so underrated.
Absolutely.
Every time I ask about it in one of the trainings, only like 10% of people raise their hand that they have used voice input, and like, you are losing so much, because in that 1 minute of speaking, you can write so much more. And the problem with AI is how to use it is that, we don't get sufficient, or we don't get proper answers. It's because they don't give it even enough context, and they don't give enough context because they don't want to type, because it takes a lot of time, right? But instead of, they could just speak everything. And the good thing is that you can burst everything out and allow ChatGPT to summarize it, to make it very like detailed or compact if you want, or in maybe like structure it somehow. So yeah, I think this is a great way. Now, let's talk about a little bit of the visual side, or the visual AI. You mentioned also one part of your role is to be active, to be visible. On the other hand, I see also that the AI is completely changing all of the social media and everything we see. And in my trainings for finance teams, I always also cover visual AI, because not because we should like create images with AI in finance every day, but we need to be aware of what is happening around us. Because if there's like 50%, according to some of the researchers, 50% of the online content already generated by AI, then you always need to be aware, you always need to check whether this is correct, or whether I should trust this source. So since you are a street performer, you do all sorts of tricks. Have you already encountered that people, they don't trust you, or they think that, oh yeah, Sylvain, he's doing this with AI, or this is not real? Or do they still believe you?
I think people still believe me, because the brandings that I have on social media is just very human, very personal. So I've never had situation where people will be like, oh, that's AI generated.
Okay, that's good. But how do you see, look at the content of what everyone else is doing, or like if you look at YouTube videos, do you wonder if it's real or not?
Very honestly, my solution is that I do not watch anything anymore.
Really?
I have deleted every social media platform from my phone. I do not have Instagram, I do not have TikTok, I do not have YouTube, I do not have Facebook. I've deleted them all, because the reality that I see of it is there is some good content, there is some creators that really love what they're doing, and it's a pity to stop watching them. But the reality is, like, by having the platform, most of the time I spend is not watching the few creators that I like, is doom scrolling on stuff that do not bring me any value. And I've never been sitting on my sofa scrolling for an hour and closing my phone, be like, oh, that was such a great time, I'm so much happier and smarter. And so at the moment I'm more going toward a war against stopping to watch stuff in general. And I have a big fear on this. I think the social media world is going to become less and less relevant, and I think it's going to get to some people that just going to keep scrolling endlessly, especially when we see AI growing. I think one of the steps that I believe is going to be very crazy is once people are going to have 100% personalized AI generated feed, and I don't think we're so far away from it with stuff like Sora and other platform. And then it's going to be some people who would love to have some great adventure, but do not have the courage to get out of their comfort zone and do it themselves. Then instead of living their great adventures, they're just going to be able to watch the vlog with themselves doing the trip from France to Estonia on a unicycle, and they're gonna get all the dopamine and all the excitement from it, and without doing anything. And I think it's really gonna make such a gap in society between people who just end up feeding themselves from all those algorithms and people who just reject it. But I really have the feeling that there is no middle ground. I've tried to find a middle ground for several years now, and I can see that each time I have the platform, after a week or two, then your self-discipline just gets strained, because it's a constant mental strain to resist the temptation, because the algorithms are made to get you scroll. And so the best self-discipline is to destroy any temptation and just not make the option.
But at the same time, you are an entrepreneur, so you need to be visible. People need to know that you exist. So how do you do that?
I don't need to look at social media to post on social media. I use Search platform. I post everything from Metricool at the moment, which allow me to post from any platform without opening the platform. I still see the comment and when people think. I might time to time go for a bit of a scroll for inspiration and see a bit what seems to be the trend, but more and more I don't really care of what is the trend. I'm also not making income directly from social media platform. It's good to be visible, but I think very often the whole being visible on social media is a lot more of illusion of need than an actual need. I know many very successful people who do nothing on social media. Most of my gigs, they don't come because I have a good Instagram account. They come from word of mouth.
Which means, again, when we come back to the part where we started, is that the real connections between humans are the most important part. We need to share what we do to another person, not on social media where everyone else could share also the same thing, but it might be true, it might not be true, it might be a deep fake, whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, like one of my secret cheat code to get contract and sell my show. Call people, and this is it. Like, no, it's like a year or two. Each time if someone sends me an email and there is a phone number, I don't even bother answer. I get my phone, I call them, and as I say, most people nowadays do not have so much good social skills. So if you have good social skill, call them, make them ask them question about the event, ask them questions, so then you have all the information about what are the event, and people like talking about themselves, so they're gonna reveal so much about themselves, about their need. Leave a silence. And then they're gonna be like, so what can you offer? And you're like, oh, what a luck! I exactly have the things that you say, a show for family events that fit in the time frame that you want. It's very good. I can offer you this extra, that extra, that extra, that extra. And then if you give people what they need and you make them understand that you offer exactly what they need, then it's already sorted.
Yeah, it's interesting because in couple of, I think in the recent trainings, I've talked a lot about cybersecurity issues also, because due to the deepfakes and the finance professional handling a lot of money and being responsible for it, it's very important that they are safe and they keep their company's information safe. And due to the fact that people are so afraid of all of those scam calls, they don't pick up their phone anymore when they see that it's the caller is from a stranger, so they just see the number. So this might be a problem for you in the future also.
No, it has never been. At the moment, you'd be surprised. In my experience, people answer 90% of the time, call again the next day, send a text. That's the thing as well. It's like, if they don't answer, I just send a text like, hey Sylvain, I just saw you've been emailing me. Let me know if you have time to answer. If they don't answer call back in 24 hours, send an email.
Okay. So it has been an interesting discussion with you. Our time is running up. For a final discussion or a recommendation from your side. So we have people in finance-related spaces listening to us, whether they're in C-level or the workers or worker level. We talked a lot how important it is to improve those social skills, to be at the same time visible but not get so distracted into all of it. We know that AI is important, but again, we don't want to become AI ourselves or surrounded by AI. So what would be the best 3 or maybe 1, 2 recommendations for you for a person working in a corporate job, doing their manual tasks on a daily basis? Where to start? So what would be the next steps? Whether it be, I don't know, finding a person in the same field to follow, or I don't know, meet and then invite them to have a coffee, or going just outside to find, do a new hobby, or maybe just take a couple of hours a week to figure out what their future would be. Because I see a lot that we are super focused in our work and we kind of struggle in it, but we don't know how to actually make that change. So you made that change or that decision quite a long time already ago. So today, maybe what would you recommend yourself in those early days? What improved or helped you in that situation?
The things with change, I think people often have a very big idealized vision of change.
Yeah.
And very good example of this are the New Year's resolution. They wake up on the 1st of January and they're like, okay, from now on, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna read 1 book a day, and I'm gonna eat healthy, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do that, and this and that. Do it for a week, drain all their mental capacity, decision capacity, and give up. The reality is like change are utterly boring. It is boring. Real change are boring. And so it's not about making a big change, it's about making a tiny step that is so ridiculous that you cannot justify not doing it. Yeah. You want to go to the gym? Maybe it's too much. Make sure that you prepare your running shoes outside of the door in the evening and see if you go outside. And one thing that also I've been very, the general idea, I think, is to find a way to keep growing, stepping out of your comfort zone and evolving. And you're gonna fail when you get out of your comfort zone. Every failure is a feedback about how to make it better. And for me, that has really been like a change in my mindset when I understood this. And as well in creating of change and new habits, falling out of the pattern is part of learning the pattern. So you want to go to the gym every, 4 times a week? Okay, maybe you're gonna be able to do it for 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, you're gonna be exhausted, you're gonna fall of it, and you're gonna stop for like a week or 2. And then it's not a failure, it's like, wow, you've done it a month. Maybe last time you tried, you was just doing it for 3 days. So, okay, why did you stop after a month? How can you prevent it to this happen next time? How fast do you get back in your pattern to try again and go to the gym regularly? And the reality is like people remember the success, but forget all the failure, especially from outside. I've been unicycling from France to Estonia. People know this. People don't know that I've tried to unicycle around Estonia and absolutely failed. People don't know that I've been trying to unicycling from France, from Tallinn to Lahemaa Park, and it was an absolute disaster. I didn't have a unicycle. I ended up sleeping outside under the rain. I was wet, cold, disastrous. Great fun! It is part of it. And so, yeah, I think that would be my advice, to make very tiny change, even if they look boring, these are the real change in the long term.
Thank you so much, Sylvain. I think this is a great thought to end our show today. And thank you all for listening to another podcast episode of Inside Finance. As you can see, I don't invite only CFOs, finance specialists, but also all other cool people who are active in some other field, but who have something to say to finance, and hopefully this has made you think a little bit maybe of your work, what you are doing, and maybe take that little change and try out something new, whether it is AI or whether it is maybe a new role. I'm really hoping you got some inspiration out of it. Thank you so much. And if you liked that episode, please make sure to follow also both in YouTube or in Spotify, in other channels also. Thank you, and I will see you next time.